When problem pets leave you at the end of your tether, don't despair.
Mingo, no!
The Pet Shame Clinic has been welcoming patients, no matter how big or small. JD is a pooch with a penchant for pants and poo. At the Pet Shame Clinic, Mark diagnosed that this is one hungry hound and advised his owner Gemma to change his feeding patterns. Has this helped ease JD's kinky kleptomania?
He hasn't eaten any knickers as such, but if there are any knickers lying about, then he really does still want to eat them. But he will still eat the poo if I'm not right there, stopping him.
Today, Mark the vet is in Hemel Hempstead to teach Gemma how to tempt JD away from the unsavoury snacks and back to her.
When you see JD going for poo, going for pants, what's your response? What do you shout?
I just shout his name.
What you're doing is what millions of dog owners do. They shout the dog's name and expect the dog just to come back. But what we really have to do here, because dogs hear their name mentioned so many times without a command, is we have to add a command. So we have to say, for example, come JD, and so he associates come JD with a treat, and which becomes more exciting than poo or pants. And slowly we redirect his behaviour to one that's a lot more desirable.
To begin training, a 10-metre line is attached to JD's collar.
What 10 metres of long line gives us is a controlled freedom, OK? He can run, he can play, he can explore the area, but we have control over him, which is particularly important in situations with things that we don't want him to go near.
Once JD is at ease, off exploring his environment, it's time for Mark to instigate recall.
And when you want him to come back, come JD, give him a tug.
Boy.
Wait till he comes right to your feet, hold on to his collar.
Yeah.
And then, good boy. A nice tasty treat and a lot of praise.
Okay.
Good boy, good boy. And this affection is just as important as the treat.
Okay.
Okay? Because at the end of the day, you don't want to rely on treats forever. So he'll remember the affection too. And come, JD. Good boy. Come, JD. So by repeating this exercise, he will get it into his head that every time you say, come JD, rather than just his name, it means a treat.
Okay.
And with that comes very good recall. We've got a clever dog here. It won't take long for him to learn, I'm sure.
Now Gemma takes the reins.
Come here.
Good boy. Come, JD. Good boy. Come, JD. Come on. Good boy.
This is really great. JD's responded so well and so quickly to such a simple training technique. This is positive reinforcement training at its very best, and you can see how quickly it works with a dog like JD.
Now it's time to put it into practice. Mark's going to use the recall technique just taught to convince JD that treats and praise are better than pants and poo. I hope she remembers to take those knickers home afterwards.
As soon as he gets near the pants, we're going to give him a tug and we're going to say, come JD, and we're going to teach him that pants are not as tasty as treats.
Okay.
All right? Come JD. Good boy. Come JD.
Good boy.
Come JD. Good boy. What a fantastic start. But we've got to remember this is just the beginning. It's going to take a lot more hard work. We're going to say at least an hour a day. So every time you see him going for poo, going for pants, you've got to use that same recall. That come JD, followed by a treat, because that's the sound he needs to know to come back to you.
Gemma's got a week until JD's big test back at the Pet Shame Clinic. Join us later in the show to see if he successfully loses his love of lingerie. Ralph, the badass bunny, has been terrorising his owners by biting and bullying. At the Pet Shame Clinic, Mark the vet diagnosed a nervous rabbit who attacks when surprised and sent owner Pauline off with strict instructions and a tickling stick. After a week of treatment, has the rampaging rabbit shown any improvement?
We are surprised that Ralph seems to calm down and is less aggressive.
By putting the tray a few feet away, in Ralph's field of vision, he's becoming more relaxed at dinner time. And Mark's trust-building exercise is beginning to improve Ralph's mood.
To begin with, we thought he was frightened of it because he did actually grab it from our hands, but now he seems to have got used to it and actually enjoys the feeling of the brush going down his back.
But nobody's perfect. Ouch! Looks like Ralph's still got a long way to go. Now to help more embarrassed owners of badly behaved beasts in our Pet Shame gallery. We're going to start with a goldfish called Goldfish Looking Chain.
Brilliant.
She's been sent in by Rachel Ellis from London, and the problem is that the goldfish has these long trails of poo, but they seem to go on forever and ever.
It's most likely to do with overfeeding.
Really?
Yeah, overfeeding leads to constipation, leads to these long faeces trails. Goldfish food is so high in protein it tends to congeal in the rectum and cause these sort of long chains. I think the problem's quite obvious in the sense that there's no natural plants. Goldfish need vegetation. It's a natural laxative. So a simple cure would probably be just to add some fresh vegetables.
Really? You can feed a goldfish vegetables?
Sure. Things like romaine lettuce, things like cucumber pieces.
And they can eat cucumber?
Yeah, they love it. And obviously, like any unwanted food or uneaten food in a goldfish tank, get rid of it once the goldfish is eaten.
Our next one is a little Maltese dog called Roman. She's 3 years old. She's been sent in by Lisa and Matthew Harris from Hertfordshire. And I think, as we can see, her problem is that she always humps. She's a chronic humper of this one particular toy.
Yeah, quite a common problem. Not always sexual,
Really?
as people think.
So it might not be sexual?
Well, she's female. Usually we'd expect to see this in a male, uncastrated pet. So she's doing this as, I suspect, a learned behaviour, almost obsessive-compulsive. This is a coping strategy for something.
Why do you think she's, you know, it could be OCD?
She could be poorly socialised, but it could be attention-seeking, and I think that's the top of the list. Maybe just ignoring her will help, but, you know, the older a dog gets, the harder it is to change their behaviour, so maybe it'd be an idea to consult a behaviourist.
Our next case is Maisie, a 1-year-old goat. She's been sent in by Julie Edwards from Worcestershire, and Maisie cries and screams when she's left on her own. Yeah. She likes to be near or around Julie all the time.
Yeah, it's quite a harrowing bleat as well, isn't it?
Yes.
What we're seeing here is pretty classic separation anxiety, and Julie is just feeding this goat attention whenever it wants it, and that's the problem.
So what should you do?
Julie really needs to harden up. She needs to realise this is a goat, it's not a human baby, and more importantly, goats are sort of herd animals. This goat's on its own, so it needs company. It needs goat company.
So a goat should really be with another goat?
A goat should be with at least one other goat. You know, people keep pairs of pygmy goats, they're very happy. But one on its own is asking for trouble, and she's got trouble.
To find out more about pet problems, from pongy pigs to raging reptiles, go to our website, sky.com/mypetshame. It's been 2 weeks since Mark the vet met a lovesick bird at the Pet Shame clinic.
Today we've got a scenario where we've got a bird, Honky the cockatoo, which is in love with its owner. Anyone that comes near it, it attacks, especially her boyfriend, Matt.
Since we've been to the clinic, we're trying to follow Mark's advice and trying to get her to calm down a bit and spend more time with Matt alone to see how she handles it.
I've tried to feed her a few times, but she hasn't been interested so far. She just will pick it up, drop it and just stare at me.
Today, Mark has come to West Sussex to help Julie and Matt take Honky's training to the next level.
We've got to train Honky to accept Matt, and we're going to use a simple training technique which is used on not only birds, but also show dogs, zoo animals, and even dolphins. And it's called clicker training.
Mark is going to train Honky with a clicker. Clicker training works by marking good behaviour and rewarding it, leading to improved discipline. Step 1. Train Honky to associate the sound of the clicker with getting food. After a few repetitions, Honky begins to associate the click with something she loves. Step 2. Honky is motivated to perform a simple command using this positive association.
What we're going to do in the simple clicker training process is we're going to reward a very, very simple behaviour. Honky just leaning forward and touching the end with her beak. okay? And when she touches the end with her beak, at that exact second, we click and we're going to treat.
Honky craves reward, so learns to perform the trick on hearing the click, getting quicker to respond with each attempt. The third step is to reduce the frequency of treats until eventually the bird responds to the clicker only. But this takes time and practice.
So Julie, you've done brilliantly there. We've seen the first steps to actually training her, but it's not enough. We need Matt to have a go. Matt, are you ready for this?
Yeah, why not?
Great.
Give it a go.
So Matt, raise the target stick just gently. That's it.
Bird and bloke are equally reluctant, but eventually Honky plays ball.
Click and treat.
Kind of.
Click. Brilliant. What I want you to do is to repeat it for 2 to 5 minute sessions throughout the day, and you'll notice with time she'll get more confident because she knows the only place these treats are coming from are your hands.
I think today's training's gone down really well. Honky seems to be responding great, so hopefully she will start acting a lot better towards Matt.
Training any animal involves commitment, patience, time and a lot of love, and these three have got the lot. So I'm looking forward to next time seeing Matt give Honky some food and Honky take it out of his hand. It's going to take a lot of work and a lot of love, but I believe they can really do it.
Coming up, our 4 fluffy felons face some big tests back at the Pet Shame Clinic.